Good morning, everybody. Diggs here. It is a beautiful one out here in the Pacific Northwest right now. Today, we're going to do a video on all of the upcoming normal EX units that are going to be maybe exciting, a little bit different, and the ones that I'm looking forward to. I do one of these videos every couple of months, and hopefully you'll see something you like. You'll see something you'll get excited for. There's going to be a ton of units. I'll go ahead and segment this video by the unit that I'm talking about because I might go on for a while. Let's go ahead and dig in. The first unit we're going to talk about is going to be Ruined Sterne EX, who should be coming out sometime in the next week or two. Now, Ruined Sterne EX is one of those units that a lot of people are looking forward to, and I think it's because he was so dominant for such a long time that a lot of people have him level 99. They're easily going to be able to EX him. They probably already have 400 Mind Spheres, or they've been planning to get those 400 Mind Spheres. And he tends to be one of those units, very similar to Viktora, where if you're running a dark composition, if you're running Dwayne or Black Rose Helena, or maybe you only have Black Rose Helena and you don't have Dwayne, you could easily substitute him into your dark formation, and he will be very powerful. I don't think his EX form is going to be meta per se, particularly on global. We do have Elena coming out here in a week, which should coincide with Ruined Sterne EX. So I think we may see a shift more towards a light or magic based meta, especially with Halloween Leela EX coming out next month. And considering Ruined Sterne innately has a 20% weakness to magic, 25% if you are running Desperation in the sub, I'm not sure he's going to kind of have a return to glory. I do think, though, he will be very powerful. There will be situations where you want to use him, and particularly in PvE, there is no dark unit that is going to match, particularly in raids or in Trials of Reckoning, his level of damage in a dark slashing composition. The buffs that he's going to get a buff to Roar of Ruin, which will kind of, give him decreased AP consumption 25 for 3 turns. That's really powerful, but usually with Ruined Sterne, you're buffing with bells. You may not have time to use Roar of Ruin. He's going to get an upgrade to Hazard Crash, which is an ability he does use, which is basically going to consume less HP, and it's going to decrease healing power on the target. When I'm running Ruined Sterne, most of the time, when I am planning on using Hazard Crush or something like this, especially in a PvP or GVG situation, my goal is to one-shot kill. I would not be trying to, lower the potential for healing. My goal would be to make Ruined Sterne that evasion, potentially glass cannon, and just send him in and one-shot whatever is in front of his path. So decreasing healing power, I'm not sure is actually much of an upgrade here. There are situations where this might be useful. Maybe you're going up against a tanky opponent with a lot of slash resistance, but by lowering the defense by 30 already, you're going to be making significant progress in killing that enemy. Anyway, finally, the one thing that he gets added is a individual hit barrier break attack at job level 25. Again, a lot of the times with Ruined Sterne, I'm going in to try and one-shot my opponent, not necessarily break barriers on opponents and then deliver the killing blow. It's possible with Ruined Sterne's high agility that he will be going forward, breaking the barrier, and then maybe another DPS unit will follow up like Dwayne or Helena or something. And maybe that just means Ruined Sterne is going to kind of be changing up how he operates in the future. It's something we'll kind of have to wait and see. Either way, I think Ruined Sterne is a EX that most players are going to make just because Dark Slash is normal, viable, standard in almost every single way. And Ruined Sterne EX really does fit into that mold. Of course, when we're talking about upcoming EXs, I can't not talk about my girl, Viktora. And I personally think Viktora gets one of the best EX upgraded kits in the game. And there's a variety of reasons for this, but mainly it has to do that all of the abilities are abilities she uses that get upgraded. She gets an upgraded version of her counter, And her job level 25 ability is an instant cast Frostbite attack. Now, her upgraded counter, of course, is going to be for the Dragoon's absorb HP, and basically it drains AP from the opponent as well. Drain 15 AP, increase AP by 15 on Viktora. Very powerful, right? If you can imagine, this counter is already being set all the time. Dragoons are kind of brawler class characters, and the amount of times I see this counter proccing, either saving me or potentially if you're in a situation where both sides are out of AP and you're duking it out with just melee hits, this could be an instant win for Viktora, right? All it takes is this counter to proc. That's going to give her enough AP to do a jump and finish the blow. Not only that, she's going to get an upgrade to horizontal jump, which is going to add a defense minus 25 for 3 turns to the target. This is really powerful because horizontal jump is one of the best jumps in the game. Christmas Menagerie got an upgrade to her jump, her horizontal jump, which kind of made it like a walk-on jump. And I would say this is almost on the same power level. It's one of those abilities that you're gonna use. It got an incredible buff, right? And defense down is always going to be extremely viable. Finally, her job level 25 ability basically gave her a version of Glaciela's jump that does add Frostbite. And you see Glaciela use her jump all of the time. Now imagine if that had a chance to add Frostbite on it. And we don't see Frostbite very often used in play. Very rare that we actually see Frostbite utilized. But this could be the first time that we begin to see it manifesting potentially in a PvP GVG environment, or even just in maybe even a PvE environment. Now, aside from all this, Viktora does get some very nice buffs to HP, AP, agility. She does have the minus 20% magic resistance, very similar to Ruined Sterne. However, she doesn't have kind of the, how would I say, she's not always going to be an easy target because she's jumping, she's moving, she has high agility. Kind of similar, I guess she would be kind of the same to Ruined Sterne, because Ruined Sterne does have his evasion and he does have high agility. So it's going to be kind of a give and take. They both have access to Sub Soldier as well. So you're going to be in this place where, you know, who's better, Viktora EX or Ruined Sterne EX? They're probably about the same in terms of power level as well. If you're a newer player with Frostlance as well, I always have been a firm believer that Viktora is one of the best units to get in the game, and I would recommend her 100%. And I know people get angry when I recommend Viktora, but you know what? I love her, and she has Charm Limit Break, so, you know, suck it, rest of the world. Kilphe EX is going to be a little bit further out. We are not going to Kilphe EX for a while, but she does get some very powerful buffs. And Kilphe, I mean, if you don't know the story with Kilphe and me, when Kilphe first came out, I reviewed her as a terrible unit, and actually turned out she was pretty good. And I'm not going to make the same mistake with her EX, because Kilphe is a character that kind of always has done me right and done me good. Her buff to her support ability is going to give Spirit Penetration 40 in addition to the magic 30% it normally gives. This is a huge buff. Energy Buster is going to become an instant cast. She's going to get Magic Wand, which will increase magic attack 25, decrease AP consumption 25, increase defense 20. As already a very defensively oriented mage, I mean, she's just going to be a beast. Add on to that, she has 3,800 HP in her EX form. There are so few mages with that much HP. Kilphe is just going to be incredible. Slap on top of that Spellblade sub, White Mage sub, along with some of the great healing TMR potentials that we have here. I could see Kilphe EX being kind of on par with potentially Summer Elsorel, and potentially fitting into that Earth meta that we're going to be having here in the near future. What else do we got? Talking about Glaciela, I mean, holy cow, we got a whole lot more units to go. Glaciela EX is going to be coming out, and Glaciela is kind of like Viktora in that I feel like Glaciela is universally just always a good unit. She is a unit that will always be worth investing in, and she's a unit that is used in strategies across the board. Like when you have a situation where you're using a water composition, the question you're kind of looking at is, can Glaciela be used in there? What's kind of the advantage of using Glaciela, right? And she kind of gets some good tools to buff herself up. She gets an upgrade to Valkyrie's Pride, which is going to give her AoE resistance 20 and magic resistance 20. That's really going to offset her negative 10% magic resistance, which is good because she also has 25% slash resistance. So she is not only going to become resistant to, say, Black Rose Helena attacks, she'll also be resistant to magical based attacks from Black Rose Helena as well. So there's just so many, like, she kind of checks all the boxes to be a very relevant unit, or at least a type of counter unit, considering the water meta that we have right now as well, right? Leap Strike, very powerful ability. I just gushed a little bit about it when I was talking about Viktora EX. This is going to become Leap Strike Kai, which is going to decrease AP consumption 40 for 3 turns to self. This is probably the highest decrease in AP consumption ability in the game. Looks really great, makes her kind of be able to spam more abilities. And then finally, her last ability is Stun Thrust. Now, I think this ability is potentially more useful than a lot of people think, because I think with kind of Leap Strike Kai, what happens with Glaciela, right, is she does a leap strike and then she kind of finds herself in the midst of the enemy. And so being able to have an ability to potentially protect herself, assuming she survives 3 turns, is very good. So she's definitely going to be a unit that will be seeing some use. You'll see her around, right? Having her EX is going to have great effects in the PvE environment as well, because there are situations where you use water compositions. I mean, I can even think of times where, you know, Severo has been viable in water compositions. Water is almost like I would say water is almost on par with ice in terms of being able to put compositions together for, you know, trials and raids and this type of content. Like, I think it goes dark and then it's kind of like ice and water, depending on, you know, you have Gilgamesh, do you have Tidus, right? That's kind of the questions that you have to ask, but I am all for Glaciela EX. I think everybody should EX her. I know some people might say, well, I don't have enough, you know, weed to EX her, and that's, you know, might be true. Maybe you're going to use your weed on Ruin Sterne EX, but as we continue to go further and further into the game, we're going to be getting more access to weed as we go along. So don't stress too much about the weed. They'll definitely appear when you need them now. And I think, you know, as we get further and further, kind of like with Rainbow Fragments, we're just going to keep getting them more often as we do go. A lot of you have heard me talking about Miranda EX, and I am a sucker for red mages. And a lot of people don't know Miranda is kind of the first love affair with water units that I've ever had. You know, I've had a troubled history with them, particularly when it came to, you know, my second love interest, Illdyra. But Miranda was kind of like the first fling, right? Like, Miranda was dipping my toes into the water world, and she didn't let me down when I first got her. And, you know, I chose not to build her as a water tank. I chose to build her as a water damage dealer. And I remember pairing her with Viktora and kind of doing like Viktora Miranda things and shenanigans and trying to, like, I just remember her working really well. Her buffs for EX are going to be really good. And I've seen some people claim they're absolutely insane. I don't think they're absolutely insane, but I do think they're powerful, and I think they're intentional. And I think they do drive that kind of, you know, tankish red mage soloing character that I personally kind of attribute to red mages. So her Mage's Blessing, which gives magic resistance 15%, is going to get a buff to give 15% slash resistance, and you're going to have 100% slash and magic resistance debuff resistance. This is huge. There are so many attacks that lower magic resistance, so many attacks that lower slash resistance. Being able to guarantee you're not lowering your resistances from either of those is very big in terms of the defensive capability. Jamming Thrust, best ability in the game, in my opinion, is going to get an upgrade to Dispel Thrust, which will dispel all buffs from target, and it will dispel haste. Not only that, it will get a damage increase by 50%, so it'll become a 250% modifier attack. 250%, you guys, that is massively powerful. That is stronger than some of Ruin Sterne's abilities. To put that in perspective, now it is a single target hit, it is not an AoE hit, but I want to put that in perspective to you, how strong a 250% modifier is. Having plus 50% modifier is basically the same as someone coming up to you and saying, hey, do you want a free 50 magic attack on Black Rose Helena? That's how much a 50% modifier makes a difference on a job ability. So very powerful to kind of paint, you know, what that percentage truly means. She also gets a buff to Waterga, which will dispel auto revive, which I'm all for. Auto revive is everywhere. It also has a 25% chance to inflict sleep. And of course, because Miranda has capped out faith, this does actually have a chance in landing. Her stats also are pretty good. She gets 3000 HP, 9 defense. She has 62 agility, which is really nice. Overall, amazing kit, and I am excited for Miranda EX. I'm excited to dip my toes back in to the water and restart my love affair with my water units. Lucia EX. Now, Lucia is like the original waifu of the game, and I feel like people have forgotten that, like, Lucia, you know, Ramada was like OG waifu, right? But Lucia was like the brand new flavor, right? Like, everyone was excited for the Lucia flavor to come out. And while she's always been a core unit for me, because I use her quadruple shot to get all of my chaining missions done, she has definitely kind of fallen out of grace because her kit hasn't been upgraded. But I'm here to say she is going to get a pretty nice upgrade. She's going to get an upgrade to Tune Up, which Tune Up, one of the best passives in the game, is also going to give increased acquired AP up 30 for self and increased range 1 for self. Acquired AP up 30 is huge. That's literally like having an AP up passive on Lucia that you get to stack with this. Then including range up 1 for her is also big because there are passives that just increase range 1. So this is like buffing like one passive into 3 different passives for her, which is amazing. She has a buff shooting posture, which does give defense pen 20 and missile attack 40. This is going to be buffed to give range 1 for 3 turns. It's not the strongest buff in the world, but when you consider that she's also getting a range buff with her passive, she's going to be able to compete with some of these bow units who have significantly more range than her. So she is going to be kind of able to do these sniping techniques. Her job level 25 ability, Sadistic Blast, is a 165x modifier, and it does have a 25% chance to inflict slow. We don't have a missile-based ability that inflicts slow, and a lot of people don't prepare for slow or don't have resistance to slow set on their characters. So Lucia going to be a very interesting character. It'll be interesting to see how she buffs her faith, like what level faith you keep her at, probably around 70, because you do want slow to land, right? Like, that's a very powerful kind of winning tool. Big thing for Lucia as well. Lucia is going to be, her EX is going to come out sometime around King Oberon and King Jaden. And you'll notice she does have 15% piercing resistance. She has 15% missile resistance. She has critical hit rate 35 in her EX kit. So she is going to be very high crit unit, 325 dex, 60 agility. She is going to pair really well with Tifa. And I think we may see some mono win compositions, especially with Halloween Leela coming out as well, where we may see like Tifa, Lucia, Halloween Leela. We may see Halloween Leela, Lucia, Corwell, right? We might start seeing different types of win compositions that will kind of be a little nightmarish, I think. We got 2 more left, and this is the only non-UR on the list. And that's because I think Adelard is universally one of the most powerful units in the game on the MR scale. And I think his EX, very similarly, does gain a very strong power level. Now, we do see an upgrade to his initial AP up level 1, which does go from initial AP up level 1, which is 15. Remember, when we were talking about Lucia, she got plus 30, or sorry, not initial AP, acquired AP, right? So Adelard's going to be getting initial AP plus 30. He'll be getting magic plus 30% added on to that. Jamming Thrust is going to get an upgrade, which will reduce counter activation chance to 0. He's also going to get Viraga, which will decrease magic attack 40 for 3 turns to target. With that, he's going to have 579 magic. The biggest backdraw of this is he only has 54 agility. However, little known fact about Adelard, he has 25% pierce resistance, 25% missile resistance, 15% slashing resistance. He is weak to striking and magic by 10%, but because we live in a world where we have to start thinking about piercing and missile coming out in the near future, Adelard is going to be a very powerful force to be reckoned with in his EX form. Now, are most people going to be leveling him? Probably not, but I just want to say I fucking love Adelard, and I will be EXing him right away. Our last unit on the scale doesn't have the full information released yet in terms of stats. We do have her abilities though, and that is going to be Illdyra EX. Now, Illdyra gets some very interesting buffs. She gets a new passive called Resistance Plus, which on any AoE spell that she casts, basically, that is a height-based spell, because it's the height 3 to height 2 ability, is going to give her AoE resistance plus 15. Now, it doesn't say if that is for 1 turn or for 2 turns. It could just be a passive on the passive itself, but AoE resistance is very powerful, and you're going to be casting these spells with Illdyra no matter what. Her job level 25 ability, Height 2 Resist, is going to be an AoE ability which increases strike, pierce, and missile resistance by 15%, and then you can increase this effect by 10% if the target height is a multiplier of 2. So that's 25% strike, pierce, and missile resistance in a world where we are going to be entering into a pierce meta. Very powerful. And her final ability is going to upgrade her Cura calculator ability to Curaga. And it is essentially going to double the potency almost of her healing ability, which is insane. Illdyra is kind of shifting into a more support role as opposed to an offensive role, which I feel like she kind of occupied. So she's definitely going to be a more support-oriented calculator. And I do wonder if this means that Halloween Leela, when she comes out, might be a little bit more offensive. And I'm kind of excited to see, you know, whenever we get the teaser for Halloween Leela, what exactly her kit is going to behold, because it's really clear to me that Illdyra is kind of entering this support-oriented world. It makes me excited. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this type of a video. I don't make these types of videos very often, but I do feel like there's enough EX units out right now to talk about. There's one unit that already came out that I kind of want to mention as like an MR unit besides Adelard. I actually think Shoot Cell EX is going to be very powerful with Cloud's Buster Sword. We also have Lightning Select quests coming out, so you could potentially consider investing in Shoot Cell EX. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to support me, make sure you become a YouTube member. You can also use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins, or you could go to dig.gs/offer as well. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.